Countdown to Extinction is a thrash metal classic album released in '92 by the band Megadeth, featuring their thought of as classic lineup with Dave Mustaine, Marty Friedman, David Ellefson, and Nick Menza. This actually came after Dave Mustaine had to throw out a couple of old band members because they were dealing with addiction issues. Now, what I've heard so far of Megadeth, I think I've heard 3 of their tracks. They've been phenomenal, technically fantastic, conceptually rich. There's these fantastic deep, dark themes to kind of pull away from, and I think what I've been told is that there's more of that to come in this album. It is supposedly one of their best albums. So I'm going to be checking out this album in full, trying to draw away any conclusions or themes I can from the music, trying to take in the album as a whole, the message, if you will, of the album. And also, lastly, it is a donator suggested album by Gregory, who's actually, let's say, sponsored this series of videos. It'll be a 3-part series. What's left to do is get into the music. Let's do it. Lyrics are up, my notes are up too to help me follow along. Here we go. Skin O' Teeth by Megadeth, the first track on the album. Okay, this is how we're getting started, yeah? The kind of hallmarks of this band are there on that very first part of this track. Killer riff, switch up of music, and technically so precise and brilliant. Everything is so crisp, powerful. Every hit of the drum, man. Delis from the woods, where the dogs are sleeping pills on the dresser in my room. My white brain neighbor Chris is next to see. Time no white lights or drink. I believe that was Marty behind that guitar solo. Brilliant guitar solo. In terms of the themes of the track, I think this is kind of the idea of this album, right? Death seems to be, I think, going to be the central figure of this album. So this is like escaping death by the skin of your teeth is what I'm thinking. And it's probably related to intoxicants and like drugs of any kind. The one line that kind of stood out to me was, my wet brain neighbor cranes is next to see. Wet brain is like to do with like alcohol, right? Someone who's like always drunk. Empty jars of sleeping pills in the dresser in my room. So a lot of vivid imagery, which I felt like was clear from the other tracks I heard too. So inklings into the album so far. That riff, man.
Clinging on to life.
Wow, what a brilliant intro to this album. I think really opening the door to the themes, the music of this thing. It's going to be relentless riffs. This is what I've taken away from thrash music that I've heard so far. That first Metallica album can be described as thrash. It was a similar thing, right? Constant changing of the music, different riffs, fantastic bass lines, great drumming, technical drumming. Like they sound like machine guns going off at times, man. Really cool intro, dynamic track, kind of giving me an idea for what we've got to expect. So let's get into the next song. So Symphony of Destruction is supposedly about people getting into positions of power and abusing it. That's what I got from my notes. So here we go, Symphony of Destruction. Oh, symphonic start.
You take a mortal man and put him in control. Watch him become a god. Watch people's heads roll.
I like it. Not just the kind of take on the people in power, but the idea that also the followers, the puppets, kind of dancing to the tune of the puppeteers, to the Pied Piper. Like maybe make your own decisions in life. Don't follow these idiots, because they are idiots who are in charge.
Like a robot, its metal brain corrodes. You try to take us balls before the head explodes. Explodes. Just like the Pied Piper, let rats through the streets.
Interesting style of vocal delivery. So Dave Mustaine thus far hasn't been quite the vocalist the same way Metallica's lead vocalist is. I think his name is Hetfield, James Hetfield, but he does some interesting things in terms of the way he distorts his voice, and he'll change it, especially when he's trying to play a character, or like I think he's played the part of like Death or a psychopath before. In this one, he's kind of copying the melody of the main guitar, the lead guitar, I believe.
Dance like marionettes, swing to the symphony, just like the Pied Piper, let rats through the streets. We dance like marionettes, swaying to the symphony, swaying to the symphony of destruction.
I like that. They've got some fantastic lines sprinkled out, right? That's another good thing about metal music, which I learned coming from a hip hop background, is that there is great writing in this. I like this verse here. The earth stands to rumble, world powers fall, a warring for the heavens, a peaceful man stands tall. So the imagery of like a revolt, a revolution, a peaceful man stands tall. The idea that you're not a gardener if you're a peaceful man. To have peace, you got to kind of stand up for yourself too.
Just like the Piper, let rest through the streets, dance like marionettes, swaying through the symphony. Just like the Piper.
I love when they switch up and do this groove here, and it slows down and it gets like into this there's seems to be like two parts to a lot of their music. One is this kind of insane inferno of riffs, and then they get into these like melodic grooves that I really love. Hopefully I didn't mess up this playback. Here we go.
Roaring for the heavens. Just like the Piper, let rest through the streets, dance like marionettes, swaying through the symphony. Just like the Piper, let rest through the streets, dance like marionettes, swaying through the symphony, swaying through the symphony of destruction.
Great line here, man. We dance like marionettes swaying to the symphony. The symphony created, or the name of the track is Symphony of Destruction, but the symphony created by the noises or the flute of the Pied Piper, which is these terrible people in power. But he had an interesting take in the beginning where he was saying that you take a mortal man and put him in control, watch him become a god, watch people's heads roll. So the idea that even the dude in power doing this stuff, it's not his fault. It happens to anyone. A normal man becomes corrupted through power. Power corrupts all. Great track, man. Interesting. I think I like the first song more, especially the guitar solo on the first one, the energy of it. But good track, man. Good track. This, I think, was the lead single. So we're getting to the next song here. It's Architecture of Aggression. So this track's title actually comes from a book with the same name, and it features a sample of a CNN correspondent with bombs going on in the background during the Iraq war, the war that was in 91. So Operation Desert Storm. So I guess it gives me an idea of what this topics and the themes will be on this one. It's probably to do with war, architecture of aggression. So starting to make more sense. Again, the themes of this track seem to be to do with death, power, kind of the darker taboo subjects of life. This is Architecture of Aggression. Here we go.
Born from the dark in the black cloak of night, to envelope that spread below, deliver to the light, to eliminate your enemy, hit them in their sleep. And when us one alliance wars are yours to keep. Great nations built from the bones of the dead when money's not blood. When you know you would, when your enemies raise your architecture of aggression.
Okay, interesting. I was speaking about the Dave Mustaine's voice, right? For what he doesn't have in like vocal chops, he's not the greatest singer, I would say, even in the genre of metal music. But he has this really interesting way of phrasing things. Like, take this bit here, great. He switched it up. The flow was kind of crazy. Like, the flow is the best word to describe it. It's like really interesting delivery, cadence that he gave to that part of it, and he does that quite a lot, which is to his, his credit. He's obviously a great songwriter and a great guitarist. His vocals maybe lack just a little bit.
Sweet power vacuum, a double leader days. His body fuels power, fire, and the flames rise to escape. One side of his face, kiss the other, genocide. Time to pay with your ass, a worldwide suicide. The great nation's built from the bones of the dead with mud and star, blood and sweat. You know it was when your enemies break your architecture of aggression.
Let's get into that line. It's a great chorus, man. With mud and straw, blood and sweat, you know your worth when your enemies praise your architecture of aggression. Imagine that for the ethos of a nation. You know, the good things that your enemies say about you is that you're ferocious in battle. That's I think what he's trying to say there, right? Oh, great guitar line. You almost don't notice the bass line until this moment. Oh.
Born from the dark, in the black cloak of night, to envelope that brave Lord, deliver to the light, to eliminate your enemy, get them in their seat, and
I don't know, like, are you guys catching the brilliance of the guitars in the back, right? How technically crazy they are. I don't play the guitar, and that sounds super hard to do.
all is what it loves, the sports wars are yours to keep. The great nation's built from the bones of the dead with mud and straw, blood and sweat. You know you will when your enemies break your architecture of aggression. Great nation's built from the bones of the dead with mud and straw, blood and sweat. You know you will when your enemies break your architecture of aggression.
Great use of the sample to kind of inspire the track. I love that this band talks about real things. Like, the songs have meaning to them. It's talking about life. Okay, it is the darker parts of life, war, death, destruction, but they have something to say, man. How many bands are about nothing? They just talk a bunch of nonsense, which is cool to see, man. I had that kind of idea of metal music, thrash music before I got in, but it was definitely destroyed early on. The preconception that it's kind of, I don't know, silly or something like that. That's just what I thought of it as a hip hop fan. I don't know why. That's just how I don't know. I didn't engage with the music before, but certainly not the case. They've got something to say, man. Really cool. Into the next track. There's actually a ton of notes on this track. This is supposedly about the environment, the harshness and difficulty placed on farmers and farming communities on the Ronald Reagan era policies is one of the things that has written down. But I supposedly got some fantastic rhyme scheme and writing from Dave Mustaine that maybe a hip hop fan could enjoy. It's supposed to say, it says even in the notes that it's like would be thought of as a rap masterpiece if it wasn't a metal track. So let's check it out. Let's hear what that's all about. Here we go. Foreclosure of a Dream. Whoa. maybe more acoustic-y this time.
Rise so high, so far to fall, a plan of dignity and balance for all. Political breakthrough, euphoria sight, more borrowed money, more borrowed time. Back in the corner, caught up in the race, means to an end, ended in disgrace. Perspective is lost in the spirit of the chase. Foreclosure of a dream, those visions never seen. Until all is lost, personal holocaust. Foreclosure of a dream.
Until all is lost, personal holocaust. You have to love his timing on this one. The thing that impresses me and is very close to hip hop sound on this one is how the syllables fall on the drum beat. Is why it reminds me of a hip hop track. Like if you catch that first verse, if you were to replay it and hear it again, the way he's putting the rhymes in between the falling of the drums is the impressive part. Really cool, man. He's got an eye for a rhyme.
Buried land, the ones filled in need are worthless now, dead without a deed. Slipping away from an iron grip, nature's scales are forced to tip. The heartland dies, loss of all pride. To leave and believe and to try and be tried. When sufficient funds, insanity and suicide. Foreclosure of a dream, those visions never seen. Until all is lost, personal holocaust. Foreclosure of a dream.
Great line, dude.
The Congress will push me to raise taxes and I'll say no. Read my lips.
I actually know this.
My lips.
Okay, so kind of the theme of the track, or I should say the title of the track, kind of hit me now. Foreclosure of a dream. I see what they're referring to. The idea that the imposed policies by that era of administration in the US, foreclosure, of course, is to do with property, but foreclosure of a dream. So people's lives and livelihoods were destroyed, were foreclosed on. So if it is relating to the farmers, then that is a fantastic message, man, because he's definitely describing some sort of, plant life, barren land that once filled a need are worthless now, dead without a deed. Deed also, of course, meaning in the property sense of things, to have a deed for a house, for example. Cool stuff, man.
Now with no hope, so I'm well bit proud. This is no holes, no one pushed out. Receiver, brave, and be a pioneer. Break new ground up a new frontier. New ideas will surely get by. No deed or dividend, some may ask why. You'll find the solution, the answers in the sky.
Who's got the better lead guitarist, Metallica or Megadeth? Good question, right?
Rise so high, so far to fall, a plan of dignity and balance for all. Political breakthrough, euphoria's high. More borrowed money, more borrowed time. Foreclosure of a dream, those visions never seen. Until all is lost, personal holocaust. Foreclosure
switched it up and made it have these more acousticy guitar parts. This album definitely has some kind of political, journalistic aspects to the album, man. The last track, this track, it's kind of, you could even say like journalism in a new form. That's what often art can be. So it's like reporting on the truth, but in a different way. It's not you wouldn't find it in a news channel, would you? Like the way that they're putting it. You know, it's obviously to fantastic music, but these are real problems and real things that they're talking about, which I love. Great line here, until all is lost, personal holocaust. And it lived up to the idea of it having this kind of rap-like cadence to it. I think that is for sure. There is no hoax, no one pushed out, receive a reprieve, internal rhyme scheme, and be a pioneer, break new ground of a new frontier. Great rhymes, man. No ideas, again, frontier, new ideas, more rhyme schemes that don't fall in the normal way, right? Frontier, and then this line or dividend should have been rhyming, but he didn't. A new frontier, new ideas will surely get by, no deed, no dividend. Interesting, man. Great writing by the dude. Gotta love it. So far, so good. Great album so far, man. It's living up to the hype, and I like that they switched up as well. That's good album sequencing, that you switch up. You had 3 tracks, super heavy, then you have a 3rd track with the acoustic element. Really cool. On to the next one.